What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be explaining higher lows and lower highs and how they can give you better confirmation in shifting trends and identifying what trend you're in. So obviously we can see that we're in a downtrend for quite some days, and what we are looking for is, if we're in a downtrend, we're looking for lower highs, and if we can identify these lower highs and if we can see a break of the lower high, we could basically shift into an uptrend. And how to identify a lower high is basically you're looking for a move up before the lowest point, the move down. So at first we had a move up right here and a move down. So this would have been acting as our lower high. This would have been acting as our lower high for now, but we had this move up and a move down as well. And this would have acted as our lower high, but we had another loop move up and a move down. This would be our lower high before the farthest move down. So basically, if we inverse this zone, this line right here, we can break into an uptrend on a higher time frame. What I like to do also is I like to work my way down to the 4-hour time frame as well and the 1-hour time frame. We see this move up before this move down right here. So this would act as our 4-hour lower high. I like to also go to the 1-hour time frame as well. It gives me better confirmation. And we basically see it in the same zone. So realistically, I'm just going to delete these 4-hour lower highs since this daily lower high is in the same realm as the 1-hour and 4-hour. So if we inverse the zone right here, we can enter an uptrend. We tried to break it right here, we respected it, and we tried to break it right here, we respected it, and we contested it right here. We respected this zone for 1, 2, 3 days now. If we see a break of this, we could definitely see a shift of trends. Bulls are really wanting to break this zone, but bears are really wanting to hold this zone, because if we break this zone, we enter an uptrend on high time frames. And what is really cool, after we see these breaks on this candle right here, we blew this out the water. We ended up inversing it. That means we ended up breaking into an uptrend on this candle. And what we like to do after breaking these lower highs, we like to form fair value gaps after breaking them. We ended up forming a daily fair value gap right here. So we ended up shifting trends, and what's giving us better confirmation is a fair value gap forming immediately after. Ended up breaking into an uptrend right here, but we still haven't broke this daily fair value gap that could hold us down. Ended up holding this daily fair value gap. We had one form right here, and then another one formed down here. So what we're looking for is we ended up shifting into an uptrend on the daily time frame after inversing this lower high. All we need now is a break of this fair value gap, and there will be nothing holding us down. But on this move down back to this fair value gap, we ended up trying to break it, but we ended up respecting this. On this move down, we ended up forming another daily fair value gap. That means if we form another daily fair value gap right here, that means this one gets canceled out. Because only 2 fair value gaps are really valid, and if you have a third one that gets formed, that means the first one that you formed originally gets invalidated, and the second one that we formed down here acts as the new first one, and this would act as a new second one. So this one gets canceled out, and this would act as our second one right here. So now that this is invalidated, we do not trade off of this straight. We do not care about it breaking this fair value gap anymore. We care about breaking this fair value gap. So we had a shift in trends, then we had a respect of the daily fair value gap. All we need to break is this zone. This is the only zone that is holding us down right now from getting to this weekly fair value gap up here. Forming this weekly fair value gap right here that can act as a magnet zone. We end up inversing this daily fair value gap right here to the downside, inversing it. That means there's nothing holding us down. And immediately after inversing this, if we go on the 4-hour time frame, we didn't just break a daily fair value gap, we ended up breaking a 4-hour fair value gap as well. And immediately after breaking the daily and 4-hour fair value gap, we formed our first fair value gap right here, and then another one right here. Price tends to react off of the first fair value gap that got formed more than the second one. As you can see, we ended up inversing it on the daily time frame, like I said, and the 4-hour time frame fair value gap. And immediately after inversing these zones, you're looking for fair value gaps that can pull back to it immediately. So the market likes to break these fair value gaps or lower highs, or whatever trend you're in, a lower high or a higher low. It likes to break these zones, and you can see fair value gaps get formed after that. So we ended up reacting off of this 4-hour fair value gap. We tried to come all the way down here. We tried to close below it, but we couldn't. We ended up respecting it because we broke into an uptrend on the daily time frame. Let me delete this since we talked about it. We ended up shooting up to this weekly fair value gap. What we're doing is we're going on high time frame. We're going on a high time frame first, and we're identifying a fair value gap, which is right here. So we could expect the price to pull back here from. We could expect the price to pull all the way back up here from literally 3 weeks ago. And all we're doing is just trying to find our way there, and we found our way there by just identifying lower highs, identifying just shifts in trends. We see shifts in trends, and then fair value gaps get formed after. So that's what you're looking for basically, is you're just going on a high time frame and you're trying to identify a high time frame fair value gap, whether it's a monthly or a weekly or a daily, and you're basically just trying to find shift in trends or just fair value gaps that we can catch our way up to there, because these high time frame fair value gaps really act as liquidity grabs, and it really draws the market to it. It just does for some reason, and you just got to find your way there. And I learned that these lower highs, if we break them and form for value gaps after that, we can find our way there, and they act as really good entries, because not only are we entering off of these, because you're not blindly entering, right? If you enter just right here, where's your like if you just enter blindly, you're not going to have a stop loss. But if we enter off this daily fair value gap right here after inversing this lower high, that means our stop loss can be below it. We tried to inverse it, but we didn't inverse it. We didn't close below it. If we see it close below this right here after the break, that means we can enter, that means we invalidated this fair value gap that was holding us up, and that means there really would be nothing holding us up from going down here. So we had to respect this zone after the break to see us go to this weekly fair value gap. I'll show you an example of a fake out. So this is a really good example of a fake out. We ended up having this move up before this big move down, and we ended up inversing this lower high, shifting us into an uptrend, but we didn't end up forming that high time fair value gap. We ended up breaking it on the daily time frame, but we didn't end up forming a fair value gap, so we ended up falling off. So that would be a good example. If we don't form a fair value gap after shifting trends, that means, we want to see support after shifting trends. We want to have that verification. We want to have that just like better confirmation in shifting trends, and we can form fair value gaps after, like we had on this one. We ended up breaking and forming a fair value gap, unlike this one over here that we ended up breaking, but we didn't form a fair value gap after breaking it. That's really about it for the lower highs. I have more of a strategy that allows trend lines as well, but I want to make that in a separate video. And yeah, I hope y'all guys enjoyed the video. I'm just gonna make these into parts, and yeah, I'll see y'all guys in the next one.